for about 16, 17 years. Big part of Kemah. If this is your first time here at the community center, we have emergency exits in the rear. Two-sided emergency exits here. I would like to ask one favor. If we could keep applause, boos, or any negative remarks after each candidate gets up and speaks, we probably all appreciate it. One reason why I didn't want to do a question to the candidates is because it's a 2-hour show, and we really wouldn't have time. So I kind of wanted to hear what each candidate had to say, and then it's up to the candidate when we're done to meet and greet as many people as they can here. A couple people I want to thank. Landry's Corporation for the food. Please, when we're done, y'all get you something to eat. There's plenty. Rick Sharp, thank you, sir, for coming and being our security advisor. So, further ado, I'll say let's get this thing going, and let's hear it from our first candidate. Number one, is that Wayne?
It is.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Wayne Grass. I first want to thank Keith. I think something like this actually has some value in giving opportunity. You'll get, you all live here in Kemah any amount of time. You know, you see the signs, you get the mailings. Every once in a while, you see straight out of horse's mouth. So I'm glad we did that. Thank you all for coming out this evening. I thought it was going to be your sound. All right.
Hello.
This is a
Very, very directional mic.
okay.
Well, I'll stay right on top of the microphone.
I feel like I can get to the back row without it, but
I'll do it anyway. So, it was kind of hard as I was thinking about what I wanted to say tonight to decide what I wanted to write and how I could explain myself to you. Frankly, since most people who pay any attention to local politics know me for my 12 years on city council or my years on KCDC. But I decided, for the benefit of those who are new to town or wondering about the candidate's background or history or whatever reason you don't know me, which is entirely possible, I was born in San Antonio. I was the last of 8 kids. I got my aerospace engineering degree from UT Austin, and I spent most of my working life in the Houston area, including the past 19 years right here in Kemah. I worked as a NASA contractor probably most of the last 25 years, and I stay heavily involved in the space program in many ways, though currently I'm working aviation out at Elmerson Field. I stay heavily involved in space topics through my professional organization, AIAA, and served as a congressional fellow for DC, in DC for 2 years through the AIAA Congressional Fellows Program in the mid-90s. Since I returned in 1996 from that fellowship, I settled into Kemah here at Kemah. I stay active with AIAA as Houston Section Public Policy Chair, and I've done that for most of the last 20 years. I served as the AIAA Region 4. Region 4 covers Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, New Mexico as their Deputy Director for Public Policy for 7 of those years. And finally, of late, in 2010, as I saw there was not enough being done at the state level to attract new space business to our state, and I helped co-found, and now the Executive Director of a 501c4 nonprofit organization called Texas Space Force. So space and space policy have been my vocation and my professional passion in my life. Now turning to our local politics. Once I got back in 1996 and moved to Kemah, I made the mistake of trying to do something about it. In fact, I found myself unhappy with the constant rate increases in our homeowner association in Kemah. Nothing was being explained, but every year the dues got raised by the maximum amount allowed each year. To make a long story short, by the time I finished complaining and decided I needed to stop pulling the cart, I ended up as a homeowner board member and then as its president. I and a former friend and NASA fellow contractor ended up being the first majority homeowners of that association. We found out quickly, upon assuming office, that we were broke for the rest of the fiscal year, and that there would be no more deficit funding from the developer. Quite a surprise.
after we finished, he and I and our community, both explaining to our community where we are, what we were doing, and turning things around, I left the homeowner association sound with growing finances and a steady group of service providers that were doing the right thing. I made the mistake of having that come to the attention of City Council and the Mayor at that time, and apparently they found they were at least partially impressed with the job I'd done. So when they had an opening come up in KCDC, Kemah Community Development Corporation, which is our 4B corporation, for those who are familiar with it, they asked me to serve. And then next year, based on my budgeting and other skills, to try to get that done, they asked me to serve as president. After a year of that, there came another opening, this time on City Council, for a vacant position. And I was asked and agreed to serve for an unexpired term. I began 5 terms on City Council, which is how most of you now know me, including several terms as Mayor Pro Tem, where I specialized in budget issues and became known as sort of a policy wonk, and formal memory of council decisions, and more importantly, I sat there and dug out the budget everything. After 2013, I thought I was done with public service after 12 years and more, and thought it would come to an end. I hope most folks think the time I spent was time well served. During that time, I have a few other highlights. I served as a municipality's rep for Galveston County and the Galveston County Mountain Board of Health, as their treasurer on their executive committee, presiding over a budget of about $20 million a year. I was also a member and officer of the Galveston County Mayor's Council Members Association, and sat on CCISD committees, particularly the bond committees, quite a few of those, and served on the Houston Galveston Area Council in behalf of the city, and in a variety of other capacities. So for those who don't know me, I did my best in elect office to be fair, to be impartial, to listen, and to keep an open mind. I sought foremost to think about the future of Kemah and what it should look like. I often had to be the one that said no on council or deliver bad news. I felt it was my job to give great thought and voice to the majority of residents not attending council meetings and what their concerns would likely be for each matter coming before council. That includes special effort to ensure that we thought about all the effects, intended and otherwise, that our ordinances and policies contain. I strove to say that if I gave special consideration or variance for a particular item to one person or interest, that I need to be ready to offer such consideration to anyone in similar circumstances to provide. If I could not find a reasonable explanation for why one circumstance would be unique and could not be applied equally for all comers, I tended to vote no to the petitioner camp. I felt that was the only truly fair vote. Most of all, I feel like I brought the engineer's very practical cost-benefit analysis to the problems and questions at hand. Voters may or may not always agree with every decision during my 12 years, but they at least knew how I felt about each important topic and the reasoning behind my votes. Communication is key on voters' understanding of their elected officials' votes. If I expect to be reelected, I will begin that openly deliberative discussion process in Council once again, for all of you to hear. Hopefully my brain will be a little more organized this time. I also made a specific promise to myself upon entering public office that if elected, I'll make that promise to myself again. And more importantly, I'll make that promise to you. I promised I would leave each council meeting proud of every decision I made and on every vote I cast. That I would never compromise what I felt was right for what was easy. It's easy to go along with the crowd, to give in to what's convenient or popular thought of the moment, or to compromise your sense of what is right for what is expedient. But I never worried about re-election or keeping my seat, as I chose to do what I thought was right. Every choice, every time, no matter how hard or unpopular. And I'm proud to say I never broke my promise once. In more than 5 terms, I never voted in a way that I was not proud to admit to or own up to afterwards. It's not to say I never made a mistake. I think y'all can testify to that. But I always acted on the best information and judgment that I had, to always do it right as I saw it. And that would be my promise to you and to me. Now, some of you asked me what my signs mean during this election. What exactly do I mean by no fear? But a few of you at least got past that. No longer do the burnt orange signs. That could be. The phrase has meanings. Kemah is going to go through some important changes now that will affect its long-term future. Decisions about infrastructure, roads, water, many other important and game-changing items are upon us, or are about to be upon us here in Kemah.
What we will or even can become will be decided by your elected leaders now and in the near future. I want us as a community to enter that future with our eyes wide open, knowing the calculated risks we take, and to take those risks for our collective future as a city boldly, meaning no fear. We need to come to full understanding to communicate our options and their consequences, but once we make those decisions, stick to them. Second, if we are right on the long-term consequences, the vagaries of short-term political effects should not be foremost in our minds. I'd offer not in our minds at all. One of my worries is the tendency to have elected officials pander to groups or constituencies for short-term electoral or other advantage, often playing off misinformation and, yes, you guessed it, fear. But as a result, often getting the important strategic long-term decisions wrong while chasing the short-term gain. We obviously need to consider our long-term decisions carefully, but once made, we need to have the strength of our convictions and tell pandering politicians that prefer to scare you that we voters and citizens have no fear. And any attempts to use fear to win elections will not work. Frankly, they're not worthy of our community. Frankly, and finally, I meant that phrase as promise. I have no financial interest in the city beyond my home. I don't run businesses here. I own no real estate beyond my home. When I get privilege or access to privileged information about potential growth, either the type of growth or location of growth, I cannot use that knowledge to benefit anyone or anything other than the city. So when you see me take a position on such issues, as I hope to spend much of my time working in the direction of our city build-out, there will never be even a chance of conflict of interest, ever. So I hope you will feel free to cast your vote for me if you decide to do so in May, knowing that you can cast that ballot for me with, almost repeat, no fear. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Thanks for making me draw first speak. And early voting starts on the 27th of April. Election day is May 9th. Please vote. Ask your friends and neighbors to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Number 2. Mr. Wiggins.
My name is Matt Wiggins. Most of you have not heard from me in a couple of years. But after the 2013 election, I was sitting in my house and I got a call from Jason at Kemah Oaks and wanted me to come by for the homeowners association because they didn't have enough people there. They did by proxy. So I showed up at the meeting, ended up getting elected president, and my mean friends out there call me mayor of Kemah Oaks. And I'll tell you, mayor of Kemah Oaks is a lot harder than being mayor of Kemah. Wayne, I know what you went through, and it's unbelievable. We have, you know, code enforcement is always somewhat controversial, no matter what it is. But out there we have somebody that rides around and they send out nasty letters. And then I get nasty phone calls and nasty letters and notes on the door, and people being very, very unhappy. So, you know, Wayne's gone through that. I appreciate your work, and to my main friends in Kemah Oaks, I don't see any of you here. I've enjoyed my 2 years as mayor of Kemah Oaks. Most of you know me. I'm not going to read you my resume. I've been involved in Kemah since 1987, pretty much full time. Most people talk about serving on KCDC, you know, 5, 6, 7 years. I've been appointed 7 or 8 times and served as president twice. And I've enjoyed being involved in the city over the years. KCDC and KEDC before that have been instrumental in making our town what it is today. I was the founding president of KEDC. And we've accomplished a lot of things, and we've passed, you know, a number of seats have passed down through the line. We've had a great group of people that have served on KCDC over the years. I will say that some mayors have changed out the entire KCDC group. I didn't. I always thought that, you know, even though there's some opposing opinions on there, we could always get where we wanted to go if it was the right decision. So, you know, the KCDC is a very important part of our community. I first got involved in politics in 2004. I ran for the water board. And Lynn Merriman, who's here tonight, was part of our group, and we were in there for change. And we got all there riled up, and we all went down there to change the water board. When we get there, all the way into wintertime, we started looking around. Well, there wasn't a whole lot to change. They'd actually done a pretty good job. So we didn't change very much. We didn't change very many of the engineers. We didn't change a whole lot of anything. But that's the pragmatic thing that you have to do in politics and representing your community. You have to go in, and even though we vowed change, we didn't make very many changes. And I served as a water board for 2 years. We lowered the tax rate both years I was there. We never raised the rates on the water. We got lucky on that. Water's now gone up a little bit, and the water board has made some changes which we had to make. But those are the things that, those are business decisions that you make as a board member. And you do make decisions every meeting that affect everybody in town. I ran for council. I was on council for 3 years. And I'll have to say that besides on signs, I don't think Wayne and I ever had a vote except maybe smoking. Did I even vote for smoking? I can't even remember. Yeah. Wayne and I voted the same probably 100% of the time, at least 99% of the time, except Wayne is, will not grant a variance for signs. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be that Jesus will be here Friday and you need to be there. And Wayne would not vote for the variance on that sign. But in the issues that I see and that I represent, and I differ from Bob and I differ from Carl on a number of issues. The parking garage, I think, is going in the wrong place. I still think it should be put up to a vote for the citizens. They think legally you can move forward without that, and I think we should put it to a vote just to see how the citizens really want to handle it. Position of the parking garage, I think, needs to be next to the bridge. Instead of sticking this, I think it will turn out, I've never seen a parking garage that, this is not, if you build it, they will come. This is a parking garage. And you notice that everybody parks on the ground down by Landry's, and the top of the parking garage is the last one that ever gets filled up. If you reconfigure that lot without the schoolhouse, you get 500 spaces on the ground between Bradford Street and Harris Street and that block. If you leave the schoolhouse there, which I'm leaving the schoolhouse there, you end up with about 425 and not spending $12 million building a parking garage in the middle of town for 500 parking places. It needs to go next to the bridge, and I think it needs to be put up for a vote. I don't agree with what council's done the last few years in busing people and the city paying for the buses down to the boardwalk. The city budget is $4 million a year, plus or minus. Landry's income is $4 million a decade. If Landry's wanted to make the money, and it made the money for them, then they would be down there with the buses. Because what happens when you go down there, we only get 2% of the revenue to city. City gets 1.5 and KCD gets 0.5%. So you have every 100,000 that's spent at the boardwalk, we get a couple of thousand of them. 1,500 to the city and 500 to KCDC. And the buses, I don't think make that much of a difference, and we spend a pretty good bit of money doing that type of thing. Another thing I don't agree with is they've made a decision, at least preliminarily, to take a look at putting the city hall in the parking garage. We're a town that is 25% smaller than we were the day before Hurricane Ike. We have a municipal building, our city hall is less than 20 years old. The budget of the new city hall is $1.5 million. If I'm elected, I might end up voting for it. But right now, I can't imagine putting the small staff that we have at 7,500 square feet at a price of $1.5 million to the city. I've never voted for a budget that included a tax increase. Greg Collins used to laugh at me every time that I sat by Greg when he was mayor. And he raised taxes a couple of times, not by much, but by a little. And I told him each time I'm voting no, don't take it personal. But well, I'm not going to take it personal, but we had to vote no. So I voted no really loud one time. And Greg said the no's had it. And everybody looked at him like he was crazy. He goes, well, the yeses weren't very loud, so the no was a lot louder. But we ended up passing the tax increase anyway. Those you guys know me, you know how I am in city government. Toilet Shore says 0 property tax. I don't know why we're not smart enough to figure out how to do the same thing. But they have 0 property tax in Toilet Shores. That's still the case. She's not against it. Thank you. I think we're smart enough to do the same thing over here. We put up a lot of traffic, a lot of stuff. We ought to get some benefits, and let's go that direction. Another thing that's kind of changed over the years, we have free garbage. I want to keep free garbage. There's been some discussion about getting rid of that. You're now responsible for your heavy trash. I think the city ought to go ahead and be picking up the bill for get the debris out of the yards. I think some people in council were kind of misled about what that meant and what was going to happen. But we don't need the yard trash anymore. Those are just some of the issues I think we need to take a look at. I'll do the best I can on there and make the decisions that I think are best for our town. There are a bunch of us that have been around for a long time that build Kemah. And we know how it works. We know how it doesn't work. I tried things, we've tried things over the years, and we knew pretty quick, what the result was going to be. Pan Jam was one of our festivals we had. We had it in spring break one year, and it was an absolute disaster. Similar to the crawfish festival we had about 3 weeks ago, where we put it back on the city hall lot as opposed to under the bridge. But we try those things out and learn. I'm not critical about anybody making mistakes. I'd rather try 3 things that are wrong as long as if you get into them fast enough, you get away with it, because you'll finally get the right answer before everybody realizes how bad the first 3 were. So that's my approach to getting things going on in our town. My accomplishments, most of y'all know what they are and what they aren't. The things we tried and the things we failed and the things we got good at. But I will say, I'll tell you this one quick story. I'm not going to spend my 15 minutes. I don't have to empty my brain of every bit of knowledge I have. We have one of the most unique water towers in the country. It was part of this, and right over here behind the fire station. That is the 4th largest water tower in the world, working water tower in the world. And it stores all of our water. And this was a kind of a convergence of different things and mistakes, and politics went along for a while. Bill King was mayor before Greg. And the city got a grant to do water tower, and you had to do it in conjunction with the WCID number 12. Well, Bill just absolutely refused to have the water tower put in town to look like a mushroom. He just, no, you move it somewhere else, it's not going to go in the middle of town. He didn't have an answer. He just didn't want a mushroom in the middle of town. Put it back over by the other. You have 2 of them sitting out there side by side. That was Bill King's deal. So, meanwhile, steel prices keep going up, going up, going up. So we're sitting there looking at it. We went down to Corpus Christi on the very first water board meeting, and you have all these, all the vendors there, water tower builders, and water filter guys, and chlorine, and the guys that sell the peppermint so the sewer plant doesn't smell bad, although we've never bought a peppermint big enough. If you live in down in the Bay Breeze area, you know occasionally you get a swift from the water plant. The cheapest water tower we can build is what they call a standpipe. And that's what we have. We just have a taller standpipe than what most people have, taller and skinnier. And I talked to KCDC into funding the hat to it. So we have now a water tower that looks like a lighthouse, and people are out there taking pictures 24 hours a day. And it's a great addition to our community. But that was a result of Bill King taking on John Scott. Some of you remember all this. And rookies, me, Linda, and Paul going in and said, we've got to build a water tower, we've got to figure out something. And I appreciate Linda being right there the whole time. We did a standpipe and we got something out of it. But that's what you want when you're dealing with stuff going on in our town. You want people that can work together, that will get things done, and take a practical way of getting things done. That's all I've got to say. I look forward to any questions anybody has later on tonight. I'll answer all of them, and I'll be staying around later. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt. For the remainder of the candidates, if you kind of get close to the mic so they can hear in the back or have a little problem hearing, maybe next council meeting we could work on getting a little sound system. But all right, next three.
Well, hello everyone. Thank you for coming out to meet the candidates. Can you hear me? Okay. I appreciate you all coming out. For those of you who don't already know me, my name is Robin Collins, and I have lived in Kemah for about 24 years. I've raised two sons here who are now off at college. I am also a small business owner in your community of graphic design, and I'm also a local artist. I've volunteered and been involved in the community and in local government in this area for a very long time and in many different aspects, whether it was running a PTA or a booster club or volunteering at Little League. I have a very strong sense of community attachment. My family's here, I call this home, and I always will. I am honored to serve on your city council. Although I do not have an opponent this term, I am pleased to have the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I think this is something that we should do every election cycle. I thank all of the candidates for showing up tonight. In years past, that has not been what has happened, and I appreciate that tonight very much. I have met, and I know many of you personally. Tonight I'll take a few minutes just to reflect on some of the things that I've spoken to you all in the community about over the years while I've been on council and while I've just been a citizen. Number one, our economy. Our economy is really challenging, especially with the oil prices the way they are right now. Even though we have the third lowest tax rate in Galveston County, or so I think we do. Don't quote me on that. I think that we as city council members need to be committed to keeping the taxes low for all of our citizens. I would go so far as to say that I would like to lower taxes every year, even if it's just by pennies. We are fortunate, though, to have the Kemah Boardwalk, our influx of tourism every year, and many other businesses, both large and small, that make this an actual possibility, in my opinion. Clear Lake Shores, as you've heard before by Mr. Wiggins, has been successful at eliminating their city taxes. And I'm firmly convinced that if we work hard enough, we could do the same, or at least continue to lower them. Number two, the transportation facility. I have been very vocal in speaking out against the transportation facility, or the parking garage, as some of us refer to it every day, or as you've heard it referred to. But once it was approved by City Council by a majority of votes, I am determined to make decisions going forward with regard to the transportation facility that will ensure that we receive the most value for our investment. I will continue to hold the sponsors of this project accountable to ensure that we are deriving the benefits that we need both personally as constituents here and from an economic standpoint and a quality of life standpoint. Number three, public safety. Over the years, while I've knocked doors or been out in the community, a lot of people have expressed the concern that public safety is one of their priorities and their concerns. I just want you all to know that I support all of our first responders, whether it is our volunteer fire department. And then I would always support giving them the tools that are necessary to keep us safe in our community. Number 4 is water needs. In addition to my city council duties, I am participating in a special committee to address our community's water needs. I'm convinced that the availability of water, I'm having a hard time standing next to this microphone. I'm convinced that the availability of water will become a problem in the near future, and that we need to address those future needs now. I know how important this is to the survival of our community, as well as our future economic development. If there's only so many taps available, what does that say for our future economic development? And because it doesn't just encompass one city, just Kemah, it encompasses Clear Lake Shores, Lazy Bend, Kemah, and unincorporated areas. We need to know how to allocate those going forward. Our water department right now is working very diligently on procuring additional water sources. However, they need input from us as a community and as a city. They need our vision on what we want to become, where we're going, and where we're going to end up, and where our anticipated needs might be. That's where all of your input comes in as representatives of you. That's where it comes in helpful and would help us tremendously. Number 5 would be quality of life. I want to ensure that our residential needs are the primary and priority here, but we have to do that in concert with the very robust business community that we have daily here. I look forward to working with the newly elected City Council and Mayor after this May's election, and I am committed to the betterment of Kemah regardless of politics. I welcome any suggestions on how to better connect with our citizens, either on a daily or monthly basis, and better realize their priorities. Sometimes I've found, by serving on City Council, that the right thing to do is the hardest thing to do. But I will remain faithful representative of what I believe that I hear that the citizens of this community want and tell me that they want, and that is a priority to them. Together, I think that's a very loud voice for everyone. Number 6 is community involvement. We have council meetings, and usually there's 5 to 10 people present. We're a community of roughly 1,776 people, and no more than that turn out to a council meeting. I would encourage greater participation from all of our community. Every meeting that happens in this city, whether it's a water board meeting, a KCDC meeting, or our council meetings, all affect every one of us daily. And sometimes the information that we receive is latent. Too often we get information that could have helped us make a better and more informed decision, but the votes have already been cast. So again, I would very much encourage you to get involved in a committee or come to the meetings or just stay informed. As mentioned before, I do not have an opponent this election cycle, but I feel it's important that I hear from you all the time, anytime, not just at election time. So if you need to contact me, go to the city website. I have an email there and my phone number there. I brought some cards tonight that kind of map out the points that I've gone over tonight that are my platform points. It also has my contact information on it. Happy to visit with you anytime over any problems. And I just want to thank you all for coming out tonight. Just remember to go vote. Early voting, it's already been stated, I won't reiterate it, but May 9th is election day, and remind all your neighbors to go vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Well, it's the first time I've had to speak in this building under these circumstances. Normally it's a community event where everybody's much more sociable. I'd like to address a couple things. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Bob Cummings, the mayor for the last 4 years.
I'd like to address a couple of issues that have kept my phone ringing the last couple of weeks. We have unfortunately lost 3 great city staffers in the last 9 months. It is extremely difficult to serve the public when the public often becomes upset or hostile towards the staff. The staff is only doing their job. We have a city secretary that we recruited from the Midland, Odessa area that did a fabulous job. Got a little frustrated. We had a city engineer who got to be like this nicest guy in the world. He was attacked by a couple of our contractors, local, and he resigned also, moved on. We had an events coordinator who did a marvelous job and was also viciously attacked. It's hard to recruit people if they're going to take those kind of abuses. When people talk about unity and community, we need to think about the people who serves our community also. Staff should be at least dealt with professionally at a minimum. My responsibility is to make sure the city moves forward. And in order to do that, you have to have qualified personnel. I know that anything that goes bad, it's the mayor's fault, even though he doesn't vote on council or anything else. But it's as a CEO role where you direct and you recruit the proper staff so they follow through. There's been a couple of phrases that I've certainly used along the lines when it's verbal hostility, be it in an out-and-out lie, misinformation, rumor, gossip. It is hurtful to the individual it's directed towards. And that is where I use the term cesspool. It is fitting because that's what it does to those people's lives. I get paid the big bucks to be the mayor, so I can take the abuse and I can leave it at the front door of my home or at the back door at City Hall. Staff does not have that threshold to deal with. So if we could, I would appreciate being a little more considerate, understanding what the staff has to deal with, because our city, it doesn't matter who you elect here, cannot move forward unless it has good staff. Great staff is what I hate to lose. I would love just to be able to keep good staff, but we need your all's help and support to do that. Next thing I'd like to address is that annually I change Mayor Pro Tem. My first year, Robin was Mayor Pro Tem. My second year, Wayne Ratch was Mayor Pro Tem. My third year, Carl Joyner was Mayor Pro Tem. My fourth year, Wanda Zimmer is Mayor Pro Tem. It is something that I do. I think everybody should be able to get in that role. As luck would have it, the 4 years that I've served, I've missed 4 council meetings. Not on vacation, it's because I seem to get sick every November and in bed. So each Mayor Pro Tem got to play mayor one night. Each Mayor Pro Tem has got to interact and hold the position. Should I be re-elected, there'll be another Mayor Pro Tem. I just think it's good to put them through the cycle. You can't ever tell when something comes up. If you hold everything to yourself, anything, if you get run over by a school bus, nobody knows where the keys to the door are. The other thing I'd like to address is how tough I am on people. I don't hide behind that at all, folks. If you're not doing the right thing, I'm going to be tough on you. I represent 100% of the people when it comes to being fair, level, and legal. There are no exceptions. That is why we have a civilized city. The rules are the rules. If it's fair for one, it's fair for all. That's just how I see it. Now, council does overvote my tendency to want to stick with all the rules all the time, so you ought to applaud the council. I also don't believe in promising people things that I can't deliver. Actually, I don't believe in promising much. If it's good for the city, I'll drive it all the way through to completion. If it's only good for a handful of people, not so much. It's a character flaw I have. That's how I manage my company. That's how I've managed the city for the last 4 years. Talking about managing the city for the last 4 years, I'd like to list a couple of things. Well, I say a couple of things. It appears to be hundreds, but we'll do a couple of things. My background is finance, so that was the first place I went. And I drove the financing of the city as hard as I could my first year. We had come off of a bad term coming out of Ike. We were short on funds. We had over-projected our revenue. We didn't hit the revenue, but we spent the money. A city is not run on a balance sheet with P&L like a company. Boy, is that a fact. You do a projection, you hope the revenue comes in, you forecast your expenditures, but you spend your expenditures. So you don't find out where you stand until it's too late. We have, in 4 years, been able to get back even, totally out of debt, and I have set aside enough money for the city to have a full year's reserve in both KCDC and the general budget. That is an accomplishment if you all just think about your household budgets. You must think about living on the water. Anything can happen, and we live off of sales tax. Your property tax, folks, is like $780,000. It's not the budget for the city. It's vitally important that we prepare and stay prepared for the future. Small businesses, if anybody's been over to Toucan Alley recently, it's 100% full. First time since I've lived here. We've got more small businesses than we've ever had since I've been mayor. Small businesses come and go, so do large corporations come and go. It's survival of the strongest, those who want to work or provide the services that people want to buy. We can only bring so many tourists in to buy what we're selling. As luck would have it, that's about $3 billion a year, so there ought to be plenty there to work from. Streets in West Kemah and other areas, we've got more concrete than we've got any other surface now. We've replaced about 65% of all streets, and about 50% of that is in concrete. Transportation center, yeah, it's a hot button. So was the marina, so was the boardwalk, so was Walmart. Everything that we now accept as being good and great was a hot button. We knew 20 years ago parking and traffic was an issue. Prior to this transportation center brought in, everybody was scared of it. It's a political hot potato. I'm not a politician, so hot potatoes aren't a problem. It's good for the city. We can park 500 cars there and it costs us zero. It's a grant. We can't serve our tourists if they can't park. So now we've done a traffic study. We've got figured out the one-way streets through the entertainment district. So the next thing we've got to take care of is 146. I've spent 3.5 years dealing with that. We got funded about $200 million for the first phase of it. We're still short about $300 million. DOT is, Texas Department of Transportation, is currently negotiating with the railroad. They have decided they will sell. It's just a negotiation now. So that project went from 2034 down to a start date of 2017. That will be a flyover from Red Bluff down past the Walmart. So all the traffic that doesn't interact with us or Seabrook will go beyond us, and then this will be widened out. Traffic is our bottleneck. Traffic is what will kill us. We're accustomed to living off of tourist dollars, and if we don't serve the tourists, those dollars will go someplace else. Astroworld's gone. I mean, it's a way of life. You've got to take care of your business. I did not determine this town to be a tourist town. It was that way when I moved here. But that is where our money comes from. That's what we've got to take care of. Sales tax revenue is up 14%. I know that the people who have to go by the Walmart every day, what do we spend? 5 years trying to get that red light? 6 years? Our city administrator got it in 90 days. If you get the right people, get them plugged in the right, and you treat them right and they stay, the city can progress like that. We've got building inspection. I hear a lot about that. In order to make it fair, level, and legal for everybody, we've contracted out to a professional company that does that. There's no emotions. It doesn't matter if you moved here today or your grandparents owned it before. It's an outside firm who reads the book and mandates what it has to be. That is the only way that every citizen can be assured that they're getting a fair break. Because it's not who you know or what you've done or any of that. It's just, here's the book, here's the guy. He doesn't know you, he doesn't know me. I hope that that's a better way. I know when I built my house, that wasn't exactly how it worked. Not exactly. For those of you, Aldi and Whataburger have been a great addition to our city. Some of you all are going to be disappointed. I know you heard a couple years ago that I own Aldi's. I looked it up. I wish I did own it. Come to find out, it's the largest grocery chain in the world, but I don't own it. The festivals, we sort of changed that. Another strange deal. We actually are collecting sales tax off of those festivals. Strange concept. Let's see. They use our facilities, they tie up our roads, and we actually make money off of it for a change. Not only do they pay their sales tax in full, they pay us to have the events and co-sponsor. Everything that we're trying to do is set up so it is going to be feasible for the city to never incur debt and to move forward. And that's a very, very hard process when you live off of just sales tax. We've adopted the new international building codes. We've tried our hardest to bring the noise ordinance down. I think we tweaked it twice for the residents in Kemah, so they're not blasted out. We have no zoning, so you can't, if somebody wants to open a bar next door to your house, that's just how it is. So we're trying to do the noise ordinance to protect the residents. We resurfaced the basketball courts. Most all the parks have been updated. We've redone the boat facility. I don't know if anybody has seen it. It's a really nice boat facility. Before I was mayor, I used to boat a lot. And it's one that you can actually get in and out of and park a rig with. So that is very unusual for a city of our size. Hotel motel tax money is up. We have actually gone back and gone through old permits. We found a multitude of companies that had not kept their permits up, nor had their current sales tax. You cannot run anything that requires money unless you stay on top of it. We've tried to do an extremely good job at that. I hope it's worked out for everybody. Your taxes are lower today than they were the day that I took office. You've got more money in the bank than you had when I came in, and you've got much better services than you had before. If that's what you're looking for, I'm your guy. If you want to parade peacock, I'm not in. Thank you all.
And our next candidate, Wanda.
Maybe? All right. Well, all of these other nice people have said quite a bit. Wait, it's fall down now. How's that? Is that better? All right. Everybody has already touched on a lot of the issues and a lot of the things that are going on in this town. I would like to say thank you all for coming tonight, and thank Keith for having it put together. But I would also like to resound what Robin has said, and that is it would be so wonderful if we could get this much attention for y'all to come to the City Council and the KCDC meetings, and the meetings that really have something to do with the everyday living in our town, in our community. As you know, as he said, my name is Wanda Zimmer, and this is not going to stay up. So, I was born and raised here. I've been on City Council for the last 2 years. I was on KCDC 1 year before that. And because of the involvement of KCDC and the interest and the community is what made me run for the City Council. I've enjoyed my term on City Council. I am not running on a slate this time. I'm running on my own. I feel like that I have grown to want to stand up for what I feel like and not what as the group feels like as a whole. I would like to look at what everyone's needs are separately and look at each individual that's things that are going on in the community and do it independently on my own and look at the facts. And I know that's like sometimes when we have people that ask for a variance, we have some of the people that don't even go look at the property, and I always go look at the property. I always try to talk to whoever's around it or whoever's involved in it and who's concerned. And I want to do it the way that I feel like that the most of the citizens and the residents and the small businesses and the big businesses are all going to benefit from it as a whole. Not just a few here or a few there, but everyone in the whole community. I made some notes here. I haven't even looked at them. I don't normally look at notes. I don't normally talk from notes. I've also been on the board of the Emergency Services, which is the Kemah Volunteer Fire Department. I've been on the CLMC board, the Clear Lake Emergency Medical Corps. Enjoyed both of those since I was a charter member of CLMC in the early 1970s. And then in the 1980s, I was with the Seabrook Volunteer Fire Department as the president of the Ladies Auxiliary. Yes, I was also on the PTAs and the Smile Moms and raising the children in the communities. And basically what I'm saying is that I've always volunteered. I'm honored to be able to break bread at least once a month with the Kemah cronies. I participate in at the Stewart Elementary School with the Leaders Make Readers program. I go every Thursday and work with one of the little third graders and helping her with her reading. Everything I do is as a volunteer. And everything I do it 100%. And I do it for betterment of something that has to do with this community. And that's all I'm asking, is just the opportunity to keep continuing to have this involvement and to be a part of it and to try to grow with the community. So I'm asking each of y'all for your vote of confidence that I can help stay in the community as a leader and bring the unity that this community needs, not only with the residences, with the businesses, but also with the tourists. And I thank you.
Thank you, one. All right, down to two, I think.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. And Keith, thank you so much for putting this on. It's nice to see everyone tonight. You know, we need to do a better job of having more things like this so that you all get a chance to know your councilman or your mayor. I think it's extremely important. You need to be able to know who's serving your city so that if you have a problem, you know their phone number and you can contact them. I think it's very important. So, my name is Carl Joyner, and I want to be your next mayor. I've served on council now for 3 years, served on KCDC about that same amount of time, served on KCDC as president for a little over 2 years. So I appreciate the mayor telling all the accomplishments that we've done over the last several years, because it takes a team. It's not one person that does this. And, you know, my pledge to you as your mayor is more involvement from the community and more input from the community. Right now, and this is my feelings, we have a government in Kemah that pretty much is controlled by the mayor with 3 votes. And almost every major decision is decided before we get in that room that night. I think that's wrong. I think that we need a leader who leads, not try to control. We have 5 members on council. All of them should be equal. And hopefully they're there because they're there for Kemah. I pledge to you that as mayor, I will not call and try and influence any vote before that night. I want those people, our council members, to come to the meeting, be well informed, have talked to the citizens, and then come and vote their conscience. Now, we're not going to always agree because everyone's an individual up there. But we ought to be able to walk out of that room, if we don't agree, as friends, ready for the next time we get together. Not feeling like you have a knife in your back because you didn't go along with the majority. I think the mayor needs to be an ambassador for Kemah. I'm very active outside the community, on the board of directors of the chamber, on the board of directors of the Clear Creek Education Foundation, and I really enjoy those meetings. We're all there trying to do the right thing for our organization. That's what I expect us to be doing here in Kemah. As an ambassador, the mayor should be at the Easter egg hunt, should be at Cops and Crawfish, and anything else where you represent the city. You know, the mayor doesn't vote, so it's more of a position where you're out and you're talking to people And Colleen and I have tried to knock on every door this election season. And we've got a ways to do it, because when I'm mayor, I want people to know who I am. And I want them to feel comfortable. If they have a problem, they can come and see me. I think we need to have a very friendly atmosphere at City Hall. As I walk around talking to people, a lot of people don't feel comfortable in coming to City Hall. People call City Hall, the phone call isn't returned. I don't think that's right. We need to be there for the citizens. We need to treat everyone equally. Can we solve the problem? Maybe not. But we need to get back with them and tell them why. Or help them try another avenue as you go on. No fear. You know, right now, if you talk to the wrong person in Kemah, your reputation is ruined. Well, folks, let's reach out to everyone and let's join this community to where when we go down to the street, we can wave at everybody. And you don't have someone starting a rumor, oh my gosh, I can't believe you talked to so-and-so. We're all residents of Kemah. We need to be friends. We need to be good neighbors. As I move forward, I'd like to see a lot of committees set up to where we've got more community involvement in every decision that we make at City Hall. As we move forward, when I become mayor, my position on City Council will need to be filled. My position on KCDC will need to be filled. What I'd like to do is to inform all the public that those two positions are open and ask people if they're interested in serving to submit their resume so that we can look through and get the best candidate possible for the position. You know, Kemah is in a tough place right now. I just can't imagine anyone wanting to run for public office in Kemah, Texas. It's pretty brutal. People have been making fun of the unity in the community, but I made a decision early on not to ask people to put my sign in their yard, because that is just spicy. Now, some people have asked for it, and I said, okay, you can put it in, but I'm not asking you to do it. I really am looking at you all tonight, asking you, let's make Kemah a different place. It's been the same thing for the last 4 years. It's time to move on, and let's do this for Kemah. I'd like your support on May 9th, and I look forward to being your next mayor. Thank you.
Thank you all. Ken?
Good evening, and thank you for coming. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good. My name is Kathy Bowen, and this is my first time to run for politics of any kind anywhere. So I thought I should tell you a little bit about who I am. I also would like to tell you why I'm running, and I would like to tell you why I think you should vote for me. Who I am. I'm a speech pathologist by degree, but I found speech pathology to be less challenging than I had hoped it to be, and wound up serving as a behavior specialist. Yes, I on purpose asked to work in classrooms where the chairs were flying and the kids were cursing. The principal said, "What? Are you sure?" I came back for the second interview and said it again. Everything I learned in the field of communication as a speech pathologist came into use as a behavior specialist because, as you may or may not know, behavior is communication without words. I was given a gift in this field of behavior and communication by the grace of God. I didn't do it myself. And I would like to bring those gifts to Kemah to serve. I'm a proud mother of 2 successful Clerk Creek ISD graduates, and I'm going to be a grandmother in July. I'm so excited about that. I married my high school sweetheart. We've been married for 37 years, and I've lived in Kemah for 27 years. Since I retired from education, I've gotten busier than I ever thought I could possibly be. I've tripled the volunteer work that I do at my church. I joined the Kemah Lions Club and quickly got appointed to several committees there, one of which Wanda mentioned was the Leaders Make Readers program over at Stewart Elementary. As an educator, I was reading the Lions Club newsletter and I thought, Stewart Elementary needs help with reading. I'm an educator, let's make it happen. And so that's been quite a thrill to do that. And I've also been involved in local politics here. I served as an active citizen facilitating the 3 town hall meetings that we held to gather information and get citizen input. And I also served as an election judge this past election. I'll never do that again. That was stressful. Why am I running for office now? I believe a town this size can and should be a town for the people. That's one reason I'm running. The people are first in my heart and in my mind, all caps. This town should be about the people who live here. We have a wide assortment of people who live here, very different. And I think that it's important to have input from everybody that lives here on things. I'm also running because I think it's important for us to continue to strive to have a town that's got honor and dignity. Historically, like way before any of us were born, I'm sure, Kemah had a reputation as sort of a waterfront town with dirty politics and people being nasty, etc., etc. I think we've come a long ways from that, and I want to make sure we keep going in an honorable way that anyone can be proud to be a citizen of this town. And I also am running because I feel very strongly, and I was happy to hear some of the people already mentioned, I think the government of Kemah should be very concerned with adequate water supply. I think we should be very concerned with continuing our road improvement and having good roads everywhere. And I also believe that safety is of utmost importance. All kinds of safety. The tourists bring in a lot of stuff that happens that maybe wouldn't otherwise happen if we weren't a tourist town, but we are. And I think that safe roads and safe homes where locked doors stay shut is of utmost importance. Now, for the last section, why should you vote for me? I am a good problem solver. I am, as I said, I'm a behavior specialist. I instructed educators for the last 9 years of my career on crisis management and dealing with difficult situations. I always thought if I ever got out of the crazy kid classroom that I could be in the normal world, but what I found out was the whole world is one big crazy kid classroom. And so it really has helped me help my community and anywhere that I serve by using these gifts I've been given of being able to stay calm, solve problems, and I'm good at disagreeing appropriately, and I'm good at helping others do that as well. I think that in a town this size, and I know this from having worked with some faculties that I work with, we're almost as big as Kemah. And what I found was if you don't have 80% of the people behind what you're doing, it's not going to work. Even if the principal says, yes, by golly, this is what we're going to do, if 80% of the faculty doesn't back it, it doesn't happen. And morale goes down. So I believe whether we have binding votes or not, we certainly can glean citizen input. And I think we need to be considering what everybody thinks before we make huge decisions. And lastly, I want to ask you to vote for me because I've got nothing gained by winning. There will be no personal gain for me of any kind. It will be purely giving and no taking. And I thank you so much for coming, and I thank you for your time.
Well, if you lived in Kemah long enough, you know it's not a party unless Sylvia speaks. Sylvia, did you have a few things you wanted to say, and then we'll close this thing out?
I'm one of the old people here in Kemah, and I have a service that I need to tell some of the other old people about. If you're 60 years old or older, and you have not purchased a gold card with the Clear Creek School District, I need your name, and I have some applications, and I'll give you one of these. A gold card goes in your wallet. It will get you in every sporting event, all the plays, and all of the high schools in the Clear Creek School District. It will also get you an invitation to a senior-to-senior prom each year. And we just had one this last week. Last year it was a formal affair. Last week we had a sock hop. It was over in the Clearview High School, which I went there as, it was Webster High School in Webster. The same gym is still there. But it's an opportunity for the Clear Creek School District to give back to our senior citizens. So I would encourage you to pick up give me your name, and I'll give you an application for a gold card. Keep it in your wallet, and enjoy seeing our youth in our school district perform. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everybody who came out. I don't know, I've been here a long time. I'm sure some of y'all too. This is a first for me. I don't think I've ever seen everybody get together. I hope y'all stay and mingle with some of the community here. If they have any questions, please get over there and eat that food. You get seconds and thirds. I don't want to take it home. Thanks for coming out.